You don't drive across Texas on a single tank of gas. You don't leave the Lone Star State without wishing you were back. You don't go through San Antonio and forget the Alamo. You don't pick blue bonnets off the side of the road. You hold on to your license plates and hang them on the wall. You dance every chance you get with your girl at Green Hall. You take some time to spend the night down in Fredericksburg. You don't mess with Texas. You love her. You don't live in Austin. You ain't a little weird. You don't float the Guadalupe without a tube for the beer. You don't sing a Willie song. You can't sing it right. You don't touch a cowboy's hat. You don't want to fight. You hold on to your license plates and hang them on the wall. You dance every chance you get with your girl at Green Hall. You take some time to spend the night down in Fredericksburg. You don't mess with Texas. You love her. Yeah, you love her. You don't leave a girl in Fort Worth and head to Tennessee, and I tell her that you love her, 'cause if you did, you'd be me. You hold on to your license plates, hang them on the wall. You dance every chance you get with your girl at Green Hall. Take some time to spend the night down in Fredericksburg. You don't mess with Texas. You love her. Yeah, you love her.
I love that song.
Thanks. Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but I kind of put this out there just as just so people know if anybody ever wants to reach out. But the production and stuff on that I did in my apartment. Most of it. Some of it I hired out. A guitar player, buddy of mine, Banning Dec and Mike Melancon played electric and drums on it, but rest pretty much was done in my bedroom in studio in Nashville, and I got a rough mix of it and sent it over to Danik to mix, and I mix stuff as well. But I build demos and that kind of thing. That's like one of my passions that I really love, is just building songs in the studio, and mostly in my bedroom though. I love making demos. But that is just a blown up version of the demo, basically. If you go listen to it on Spotify. I played this song the other day, and I haven't played it in a long time. I wrote it about 4 years ago, and a buddy of mine, Randy Overton, he's a songwriter, and he's put some songs out and stuff, and really good songwriter. And I used to go see him when I was a kid, but he's been a fireman for over 30 years. And we wrote this song a couple years ago together and called it Fireman. And I love this song. I just hadn't played it in forever, so I'm gonna try it today. He spent 30 years at station number 10. Walked out every fire he'd ever walked in. Fireman. He said, I always knew exactly what I'd be. I didn't choose it. It chose to make me a fireman. It made me a fireman. Some fires you feed, some fires you put out, some fires you gotta let burn to the ground. And sometimes it's just out of your hands, but it's the fire that makes the man a fireman. I'm his youngest son, the only one of three who chose a different path, 'cause I didn't want to be a fireman. I didn't want to be a fireman. I met my wife in Phoenix. We made some kids and had a life. For 10 years together I was giving up. Daddy called me one night. He said, "Fireman, you gotta stay and fight the fireman." Some fires you feed, some fires you put out, some fires you gotta let burn to the ground. Sometimes it's just out of your hands, but it's the fire that makes the man a fireman. And Daddy taught me how to live, man. He said, until you die, boy, we all fight the fireman. Some fires you feed, some fires you put out, some fires you gotta let burn to the ground. Sometimes it's just out of your hands, but it's the fire that makes the man fireman. It was written with my dad and a buddy of ours, Randy Overton. My dad and I've got a lot of time to do some writing while I've been back in Texas. He's a songwriter, great songwriter, had cuts in Texas and Nashville, had a gold record and that kind of thing. That's kind of where that's where I learned how to write songs. And I spent all this time growing up wanting to be in Nashville, and since I was 4, I wanted to be in Nashville and be a songwriter. And I moved up there, and all I wanted to do was get in the room with some of those big time songwriters. And then I realized somewhere down the line, about 7 years in, I was into Nashville. I lived up there 10 years before I had a hit and came back to Texas. And somewhere in there, I realized that, oh shoot, I spent all this time focused on getting to Nashville and writing with these other writers, and I had one of the best writers I knew living in my own home, and I was living in his, rather. But I wrote a song called David's Son for my dad. My dad's name is David Banning, and I was driving home to Nashville from Thanksgiving one year and following a car through Texarkana that said Davidson on the license plate. That's Davidson. Nashville's in Davidson County, and my dad's name is David. I'm David's son. And this story kind of hit me that night, and I wrote it 2 years later, and when I figured out how to write it. And so it's called David's Son. Daddy has a Bible name. He isn't Peter, Paul, or James. I'm David's son. Pleased to meet you. I'm David's son. He provided for our family, mowing lawns. Spent his nights writing country songs. I'm David's son. It's good to meet you. I'm David's son. I look like him, I sound like him, I write songs like him, and I'm tough like him, man. No matter where I go or who I become, I'll always be David's son. I moved to Nashville at 18. They county sign was white and green. It said David's son. The county was David's son. I poured out my heart for 10 hard years, stringing songs and playing for beer in David's son. I paid my dues in David's son. I look like him, I sound like him, I write songs like him, and I'm tough like him. And no matter where I go or who I become, I'll always be David's son. I about had a wreck driving one night when a preacher came on, and I realized that most songs in the Bible had been written and sung by David and David's son. So I write my songs the best I can, and if you like them, put $1 in my tip jar. Man, I'm David's son. Thanks again, I'm David's son. I look like him, I sound like him, I write songs like him, and I'm tough like him. And no matter where I go or who I become, I'll always be David's son. David's son. I'm proud to be David's son. Little song I wrote for my dad.
Never heard that. Good one.
Yeah, I love that song. It was weird. I don't know. Everybody's got their own way of writing. My dad loves just writing commercial stuff. He can sing along to, but he's written some really great story songs, stories that he's made up and stories from real life. But somewhere along the line, things started clicking for me in the last 5 years that made writing songs a little more fun for me. And I guess really when I started doing this is when I started, getting publishers calling me back or venues calling me back, and just anything going in the right direction that allowed me to do music full time. And I started writing songs that were personal to me, and and adjusting them to make them I guess a little more commercial, a little more enjoyable for other people to listen to, not just for myself. But I mean, that last one I feel like I wrote for my dad and for myself. But I've just been writing story songs, and I was thinking about that, and one that I wrote, I plan on releasing on an EP I put out last year called Songwriter. It was all songs that I wrote during the time of that breakup where you were talking about earlier, Harry. That's the stories on my website, but it was all songs around that breakup and the events that came out of that, and everything turned around, and me moving back to Texas and that kind of thing. And one I wrote was about that girl, and she ended up getting married, and I found out about it, and I was like, I'm writing one last song, and this is the last one. And I wrote this song. I can't even remember what it's called. Oh, it's called Love You Any Less. But I forgot about it. I never put it out, and I never play it anymore, but it's called Love You Any Less. You set the date, he bought the ring. I wondered if this day would come, would I feel the sting? Well, I just stood there smiling when they told me you said yes, 'cause you don't love me anymore, and I don't love you any less. I don't love you like I loved you when we first met. My love kept on growing strong long after you left. When the two of you say I do, honey, I'll do my best to not love you anymore. I just won't love you any less. My friends think I'm crazy, that might be true. Why else would I love somebody who doesn't love me too? Well, I should get a room with padded walls, I guess, 'cause you don't love me anymore. I don't love you any less. I don't love you like I loved you when we first met. My love kept on growing strong long after you left. When the two of you say I do, honey, I'll do my best to not love you anymore. I just won't love you any less. You don't have to say I do, but when you do, I'll do my best to not love you anymore. Just won't love you any less. Well, I was singing that one.
Great song.
Thank you. I was thinking of one that I'm trying to think of songs I haven't played in a while. I wrote this one with this is probably one of the most fun rides. I'll play the two most fun rides I've ever had next. Actually, what time is it? I think I can get through all of them.
Yeah, you got 10 minutes.
10 minutes? I think I can get through my three most fun rides real quick. No stories. Wrote this with my dad and Jake Worthington. We wrote this at like 2 o'clock in the morning one night because we were stuck out in East Texas in storms. I'm going to try it. It's called Tacos for Two. We just wanted to have a good time, so we went out, drank tequila and lime. My sweet senorita started talking Cancun, whispered in my ear, what could I do? We ordered fishbowl margaritas and a 5-night vacation with an oceanfront view. Spent our money on Expedia, and we got tacos for two. I won't lie, I found true love, forever kind. I'm talking babies and stuff. We loved every minute on that Mexican beach. When our time ran out, we just couldn't leave. We ordered fishbowl margaritas and a 5-night vacation with an oceanfront view. Spent our money on Expedia, and we got tacos for two. We scraped up some pesos by the hole in the wall. It don't look like much, but we got it all. From fishbowl margaritas and a 5-night vacation with an oceanfront. Spent our money on Expedia.com, and we got tacos for two. We ordered fishbowl margaritas and a 5-night vacation with an oceanfront. Spent our money on Expedia, and we got tacos. Bring me some tacos. I love them tacos for two. That's just a stupid song we wrote called Tacos for Two. What was the next most fun? Oh, this one's this was a true story about that same girl that those other songs were about, and I recorded this song. You can find it on Spotify. Buddy of mine, Jameson Rogers, wrote it with me. He's a Mississippi guy, and he lives in Nashville now. I think he just had his first #1 on national country radio, and we wrote this about 5 years ago, and I just love the song. It was really personal for me, and he told me I had to play it for this girl someday if we ever talked again, and we did on the phone once, and I sent her this song right after it, and I never heard from her again, but I sure do love it, and it was one of my favorite songs to work on in the studio just because it turned out a little bit different than the demo, and yeah, it was fun. Boone's farm made a paper cup, riding shotgun. She couldn't wait for Georgia. Tapping her toes on my windshield, she couldn't sit still. She'd never been to Georgia. And it seemed like everywhere that we'd go, Diamond was playing on the radio. She couldn't help but smile and sing along. Now every time I hear that song, I think about Savannah. West time will stop right there. I think about Savannah. Must have been something in the air. I think about sipping me Spanish moss, River Street, girl, lost thing. If it wasn't my fault, I think about Savannah. Oh yeah. Hole in the wall, she had to try the key lime pie. It tastes better in Georgia. We were talking about babies and dreams, diamond rings. We were better in Georgia. We got caught in the rain out late one night. Knew what she was thinking from the look in her eye. Slipped off her shoes and we took off running. Man, that girl was something. I think about Savannah. Wish time would stop right there. I think about Savannah. Must have been something in the air. I think about sipping me Spanish moss, River Street, girl, I lost thing. If it wasn't my fault, think about Savannah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of good to look back on. Don't know we went wrong, but it wasn't in that tourist town, so I like to think about Savannah. Oh, I think about Savannah. Wish time would stop right there. I think about Savannah. Must have been something in the air. I think about sipping me Spanish moss, River Street, girl, lost thing. If it wasn't my fault, I think about Savannah. Oh yeah. Oh, I think about her. I think about her now. I think about Savannah.
I love that song. And you got time for one more.
All right, so this is my third most fun ride I had riding. I love the guys who were on had staff riding deals back in the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s in country music. They just had a different way of riding. They nobody wanted to get in and out in 2 hours and done with the ride. They took their time, and there was just a lot of integrity to it. And one of those songwriters that I watched growing up was Paul Overstreet, and I got to ride with Paul and my dad a while back, and we wrote this song. He was like, "You need a hit song," and I was like, "Well, you know what that sounds like, so what are you thinking?" Because I threw out a couple ideas. He's like, "I don't know about that. What about this?" And this is what we wrote that day, but it was just a really fun ride. Have you ever seen the sunrise in West Texas sky? and all the beautiful colors explode with those beautiful eyes. Baby, I know right where to find it. Why don't we get out of this place? Let me take you away where the wild things go, where the coyotes call, cactus bloom, and the stars put on a show. We could fall in love together, waiting for the break of day. Maybe make it last forever. Let me take you away. If you came in here with somebody, then let me say this: falling for you could be trouble. You're worth the risk. I don't see no ring on your finger, so come on, girl, what do you say? Let me take you away where the wild things go, where the coyotes call, cactus bloom, and the stars put on a show. We could fall in love together, waiting for the break of day. Maybe make it last forever. Let me take you away. Well, this bar ain't me, and it sure ain't you. Why don't we find something better to do? Let me take you away where the wild things go, where the coyotes call, cactus bloom, and the stars put on a show. We could fall in love together, waiting for the break of day. Maybe make it last forever. Let me take you away.